I was recently telling this story to somebody that a couple years back I was auditioning for a wedding band, and this guy gave me a list of probably one of the best guitar players that like I know locally. Like he's in his 50s at this point. Like so he went to Berkeley, like top notch guitar player. And he gave me this list of probably 200 songs. He's like, look, listen, learn these songs, but try your best to learn them from ear. Because it'll teach you how to hear music even that much more. And I did, and man, it changed me as a musician. I can hear that's a 4-5-1, that's the 1-3, I hear it now because I had to learn it, and so
it's invaluable. I mean, again, in hindsight, that period for me,
sure.
I tell people a lot. That was like my 10,000 hours.
100%.
And then it's truly, like, you can't make this up, but like a girl I waited tables with was a singer songwriter, and we had talked about music a little bit, and she had an opportunity to go play a little show. We call them writers rounds here in Nashville. It was like 3 or 4 songwriters get up on a stage, just play their songs acoustic, that kind of thing. And she wasn't a confident guitar player and asked me if I would come play acoustic for her at this round, if I'd learn her songs. And I said, yeah, sure, that seems harmless, I can come do that, and play this show. And this guy comes up to me at the show and says, hey man, nice to meet you. And said, I know we don't really know each other, but I play for this artist and she's got a show in 2 days, and man, I can't do it. And I've called every sub I know. Like I know, like, would you want to do it? Do you, and he was like, do you play electric guitar too? I said, yeah, I do, And he was like, all right, well, here's my address. Come by the house. And it was literally like, again, back then you couldn't just like email somebody all the music, right? So I showed up the next morning and went to this guy's house and got 2 CDs worth of music, and he gave me some notes about a set list, and he's like, the bus is going to leave at this time, this day, like, be there. Okay, cool. So then I told my parents about it, and they started kind of getting panicky, right? They're like, whoa, because they knew who the artist was, and they're like, okay, well, that's Derek. Are you sure? Like, And I remember them kind of giving me a few tips. Sure. My dad was like, hey, make sure you at least learn, this and do, like, I was like, I got it, I'm gonna be okay. I got it. So I go, I spent a day and a half working up the songs as best as I possibly can, and I had written charts for everything. By this point, I was pretty good at writing a chart and had it all super prepared. And I go to get on the bus, and short version, this guy had not told the band he wasn't coming. And I get on the bus. They didn't know that he was going to have a sub. And here's this 19-year-old kid. And they're like panicky. They're kind of, freaking out. And, I'll never know for sure, but in hindsight, I think they probably were outside trying to get some other guitar player. Like, I think they were probably trying to call somebody that they knew.
Sure.
But the bus had to roll. Like we had to go. But, and they were stuck with me, man. It was one of those situations. And, the more they talked to me on the bus, they started to warm up, because I think they could just tell, well, at least he's prepared. Okay, this is all really, we're caught really off guard here, but he's got all the music, and he he's like, well, I guess we'll see. And it was one of these festivals too, where like, it was a bunch of country acts playing, and we were playing in the afternoon, and there was no sound check. It was, we call it, wire and fire. And so they couldn't, it was, I think in hindsight, I just remember, I think now as an adult, I think back, and those poor guys, man, they must have just been counting off the first song thinking, here we go.